Good morning, students. How are you all? I hope you are fine and watching online classes very well. Okay, so in this week, we will send you baseline test question paper to you through WhatsApp or with your parents. So you have to write the baseline test questions in your answer sheets and send them after one day with your parents if possible. Otherwise, you can send through WhatsApp only. Okay. Now, coming to our class. So, already you know myself, B. Radha Devi, working as a physical science teacher at KGBV, Kallur. So, in the previous class, we discussed about the concept of is matter pure from the class 9th. Okay, so in this session is going to be continue to that class. So let us recapitulate the things which were discussed in the previous class. Okay, students? Okay. So what we are discussed, we discussed about the matter and its components. What are the components are present in the matter? We discussed this one by flowchart. Are you remember? Okay. Next, what we have discussed, we got an idea about elements, compounds. We also discussed this one by taking some examples also, like gold, iron, water, salt. These are the components and elements we have taken as examples. So we discussed about the types of mixtures with some examples. So how many types of mixtures are there, students? There are two types, homogeneous and heterogeneous. So these are the two mixtures we have discussed in the previous class by using some examples also. Okay. Then we also discussed about the types of solutions by taking general examples. We have so many types of solutions now. Suspended, colloid. These are the types are there. We discussed this one by taking some examples and activities also. Okay. Then we got an idea about the concept of Tyndall effect. How it will appear, where they will appear. These are the points we discussed about the Tyndall effect. So, these are the concepts we are discussed in the previous class. Now, what we are discussing in this class means how can we separate the mixtures by using some special methods. What are that methods? Let us learn. Okay. So let's learn the technique to separate components of mixture, whether they are homogeneous or heterogeneous. What are the methods are there we have to learn in this class. Okay, students? Okay. See, methods to separate components of a mixture. What are they? First one, sublimation. See, sublimation. Second one, evaporation. Chromatography. Separating funnel. By using this funnel, we can separate the mixtures. Distillation. The fractional distillation. Okay, students, these are some methods which were used to separate the mixtures. Okay, let us learn. Now, see, here some pictures are there to you which were used to separate the mixtures, and they are happening in our daily life also. See, if you want to filter the coffee or tea, we use filtration method. If you pour the flour and sand. If you mix the flour and sand and you have to separate them, we can use filtration by sieving, means jallada we can say. Okay, then we have to remove or we have to separate the cream from the buttermilk. We use churning method. Like that, hand picking stones from grains by using hand, physical method is applicable here. Then trenching, winnowing, these are things which will happen in the field. So pebbles and stones are removed from stand by sieving, means large type of sieving. Then pouring flour by sieving. Our mothers will use this method to pour the flour to make a chapati. Is it? Very good. Then see, if iron particles are have to separated from the sand, then we use magnetic bar or magnetic separation method to separate the iron particles. Okay, then our mother, daily our mother used this method to pick up the stones from the rice to make food for us. So this is also a separation method. So these are some methods which were used in our daily life to separate the mixtures. Now we are going to learn some more methods which we'll be using in the physical method as well as in the field purposes also. Okay, let us learn. So first method is centrifugation method to separate mixtures. So what is that? Definition. So centrifugation is a unit operation used for separating the constituents present in a dispersion with the aid of centrifugal force. So which type of force is used in this method? Centrifugal force. So here two particles are there, 2 or 3, which were heavy and lighter, and these particles are to be separated by using a centrifugal force. Okay, let us know the method also. So when a mixture is rotated, if you have taken mixture of 2 substances or 3 substances, that mixture has to be rotated at high speed. Then the light particles which are present in the mixture will stay on the surface of the liquid. Where they will stay? They will stay on the surface of the liquid, while the heavier particles which are present in the mixture are forced. Why they are forcing? Because of the centrifugal force, they are forcing to the bottom of the liquid to stay on the bottom of the liquid. Okay, so here in this method, the lighter particles will stay on the surface of the liquid and the heavier particles will stay on the bottom of the liquid. Okay students, now let us watch the activity to understand better.
Centrifuge. Let us conduct an experiment to see centrifugation. For this we need a handy centrifuge machine, muddy water, mixture of calcium carbonate and water, 4 centrifuge test tubes. Take the sample of muddy water and place the test tubes in the centrifuge machine. Now take the calcium hydroxide mixture in the test tubes and also place them in the centrifuge machine. Rotate the machines fast for few minutes. Stop rotating. Remove the test tubes and observe. We see mud particles and white precipitate have settled in each of the test tubes.
So, in this way, the centrifugation process is done. Okay. Now, what are the applications of centrifugation? So, this method is useful to us in which way? We have to find it now. Okay. To separate the butter from cream. To separate the butter from cream. Okay, if you want to churn a buttermilk, then when the time of churning, the butter which is heavy particle will stay on the upper surface of the buttermilk. Okay, like this we can also separate the butter from cream also. Then to separate red blood cells, white blood cells, plasma from blood by using centrifugation method only, because centrifugation is the method to separate the light and heavier particles from the mixture. Now only you have observed the activity. Okay, in that activity you have observed that the muddy water, the mud has settled down at the bottom of the test tube and the water will separated. So like this only here also red blood cells, which are the heavy particles, will stay at the bottom of the test tube. Then after that white blood cells, which are lighter particles comparing to red blood cells, will stay upon the red blood cells. And the plasma, which is a very light particle, which will stay on the top or upper surface of the blood. Okay, like this we can separate the red blood cells, white blood cells, plasma from blood. Okay students, then to separate blood cells also, minerals, crystals from urine. For example, if you went to a hospital and the doctor says you have to test urine, you have to go for urine test. So on that time we will go for lab and we will give our urine to test. So in the test, this method is useful for centrifugation. Why they are using urine test means to separate the blood or minerals or any stone is there in your body, that will be separated from your urine by using centrifugation method. Okay students. Okay, then squeeze out water from wet cloths in washing machine. Nowadays all of us have washing machines in our houses. Okay, in that beside the washing machine rotator, beside only we have squeeze out machines. In that we will put the wet cloths in that machine to squeeze out water from the wet cloths. Like this also centrifugation method is useful. See, in forensic labs, means to find the crime investigations and so on cases as also in this method is useful to find their DNA, blood samples, etc. to find the murderers. Okay, in this way we have to use, or we are using centrifugation method. Okay students, now let us learn one more method, that is sublimation. What is sublimation? Let us watch this activity.
Take a clean and dry china dish and put 5 grams of ammonium chloride in it. Take a tripod stand and place a wire gauze on it. Place a Bunsen burner under the tripod stand. Place the china dish on the wire gauze of the tripod stand. Carefully cover the china dish with an inverted glass funnel. Close the stem of the funnel with a piece of a cotton. Turn on the Bunsen burner and light it using a burning matchstick. Note: ensure you light the burner under adult supervision. Heat the ammonium chloride for about 5 minutes. Observe what happens to the ammonium chloride upon heating. Record your observations in a table. After 5 minutes, turn off the Bunsen burner and allow the ammonium chloride to cool down. What do you observe? Record your observations. You must have observed that when ammonium chloride was heated, it directly turned into vapor without entering the liquid state. The rising fumes of ammonium chloride were seen in the funnel above the china dish. This process of a solid directly changing into vapor.
Sorry.
Turn off the Bunsen burner and allow the ammonium chloride to cool down. What do you observe? Record your observations. You must have observed that when ammonium chloride was heated, it directly turned into vapor without entering the liquid state. The rising fumes of ammonium chloride were seen in the funnel above the china dish. This process of a solid directly changing into vapor without passing through.
See here, the process of a solid directly changing into vapors. Here the solid is not converting into liquid. Directly it changing into vapor means gas state. So without passing through the liquid is termed as sublimation. Okay students, so the mixture which turns directly solid to gas state is nothing but sublimation. Okay.
Through the liquid state is termed as sublimation. You must have also observed that after turning off the Bunsen burner, the vapor of ammonium chloride cooled down and changed.
Here, after the switch offing burner, the ammonium chloride turns into vapors. Means after the turning off Bunsen burner. On that time, the ammonium chloride again turns into fumes. And we call it as deposition. Okay students, the process of vapor directly changing into solid again means here from solid to gas we call it as sublimation. From gas to solid we call it as deposition. Okay, and here you have observed that when the solid turning into gaseous, here we are applying heating process. And when we switch off the burner, again the gaseous state has it turning into solid state. It is a cooling process and we call it as deposition. Okay.
To solid ammonium chloride again.
Like this, we are using this method to separate the mixtures from solid to directly gaseous. Okay, now let us know how to write the sublimation process in a experimental manner. Means we have to write in the exams, if they ask question, describe an activity to show the process of sublimation by using a diagram also. They will ask like this question. So for that purpose, we have to note the experimental procedure also. So children, note it in your notebooks. Okay. This is the experimental procedure of sublimation. Aim, materials, what is the procedure you are following, observation, and last conclusion. Okay. Next is what are the applications of sublimation? What are the applications? Let us see. The best known example of sublimation is dry ice. Means the solid carbon dioxide sublimates and gets a gas at room temperature. Means here dry ice means carbon dioxide gas turning directly into solid and it turning into a gaseous state. We call it as dry ice. Then water. Water is also applying sublimation process in the water cycle. Okay. Then specialized printers. There they use the process of sublimation. Mothballs means naphthalene balls, which were used to reduce the insects from your clothes. Our mothers will kept on the almara, inside the almara, no? So they are directly converting into solid into a gas state. We get smell. Means they are converting into gaseous state. Okay. Freeze drying. Freeze drying means ice. When you see in the deep freezer also, ice is in solid state. It gives vapors. It gives vapors when you open the deep freezer doors. So there also dry means ice is directly converting into vapors also. Air fresheners. Nowadays we are using air fresheners in our washrooms. Odonil, like that. Okay. There air fresheners means the solid naphthalene balls or something balls are there. They are directly converting into gaseous state. We can smell it. Okay, these are the applications of sublimations. Only few applications are there. You can search in any other books also. You get more applications. Okay, students. Now we have to discuss one more method, that is evaporation. Let us watch this activity. So here these are the materials which were used in this activity. A dropper, okay, watch glass, burner, stand, water, and a beaker. These are the materials which were used in this activity. Okay, students. So let us start the activity. So here in the dropper the ink is filled. So if you click on the ink will release it into the watch glass. So we have to put this watch glass on the top of the beaker. Okay, like this. We have to keep the watch glass on the top of the beaker, and the water will starts boiling, and you have to observe the quantity of the ink which is present on the watch glass. Okay students, now let us start the burner. Now if you observe, when the water starts boiling, when the water starts boiling, if you observe, the quantity of the ink is also decreasing. See here, yeah, the quantity of the ink is also decreasing. Now you can observe the water, it is still boiling, and the ink quantity of ink are also decreasing. Now switch off the burner. Now what you have observed in this experiment? So when the water boils start, then the amount of ink also decreasing, because they are separating the mixtures which were present in the ink. Okay, so by the vapors of water we can separate the mixture or the solutions of two substances, and this process is called evaporation. This process is called evaporation. So the remaining residue which is present on the watch glass, that is the residue of the ink. So in this way we can separate the mixtures which are in liquid form. Both the mixtures are in liquid form. We can use this type of method. Okay students? Okay. Now how to write the experimental procedure of evaporation process? So let us look on this experimental procedure. Okay students? See how the experimental procedure has to be write in your exams. In your textbooks also this method is, this type of diagram has given. So you have to follow this type of method for your exams. You have to write aim, apparatus required, procedure, observation, and last conclusion, what you have observed in the experiment. Like this way you have to follow the method. Okay students, please note in your notebooks. Then what are the applications of evaporation? What are the applications of evaporation? The evaporation applications are always we have observed in your daily life only. See, during the hot summer evenings, means in the summer time, people often sprinkle water on the roofs of the houses. Why? Because why the water is sprinkling on the roof of the houses? Because water evaporates. Water evaporates by absorbing heat from the ground and the surrounding air also. In the summer days, the hot air is released, na? So the air which is present surrounding the surroundings also, and the heat absorbed from the ground also has to be absorbed by the water. And after a few hours we feel very cool, because water is absorbed the heat from the surrounding as well as from the ground, no? That's why we feel cool. So here evaporation process is applying. Then pouring of acetone on palm, acetone or spirit, anything. It will be evaporates as usually. Then kettle whistle or our pressure cookers will also perform evaporation process. Then process of sweating means if you are doing any exercises, we get so much of sweat, because if you are doing exercises, our body becomes very heat, and they are releasing their heatness in the form of sweat. Like this, evaporation will occur in our body also. Okay, students. Then melting a glass of ice. So if you keep a glass pieces into the glass, if you keep ice cubes into the glass, then what will happen? The ice starts melting. So here there also, because of surrounding air becomes very hot, no? That's why it absorbs the coolness. Then the ice melts into water. Like this, evaporation occurs in our daily life. Okay. Then next the topic is chromatography. This is also a method to separate the mixture. See, let us observe. So, paper chromatography lab. So, what is the goal of this experiment? The goal of this experiment is to separate the different pigments of the ink of this marker. Means if you are taking any one line of ink, there we are separating into different structure, different colors. Okay, let us watch this activity. For this activity, we are using a wet erase marker or any normal sketch pen, and by this marker we are drawing a line with the marker on the chromatography paper or a filter paper. You have to draw a line on the top of the paper. Means that line has not touched to the water. Okay. Then see, let's begin the experiment. Now see how we are arranged the experimental procedure. We have taken a beaker and we have poured a water into the beaker, and we have kept the filter paper or chromatography paper. See how it is kept. How it is kept, ma? By using the simple rod, we have stick on the rod to the paper. Just we have to dip the filter paper, but the marker line has not touched. Must and should watch that the marker line has not touched the water. Okay, students. Now let us observe what will happen. See how the ink separating the different colors. So the dark colors are the mixtures of so many colors. So from the black ink, see how many types of colors are appearing here. We are getting so many colors: orange, yellow, red, blue. No? See how many colors we observed in this one type of ink, that is dark black. Like this we can separate the different colors from this method. Okay. Now the experimental procedure of chromatography. What are the apparatus, procedure, observation? Okay, in this way we can write experimental procedure of chromatography. Okay, students, note it in your notebooks. Now, let us know what are the applications of chromatography. See, creating vaccinations means nowadays only we are taking vaccinations of COVID-19. So, how it is useful? Chromatography is useful in determining which antibodies fight various diseases and viruses. So, we are taking vaccinations to protect ourselves from the diseases and viruses. In that method also chromatography is using. Okay. Then it is used to analyze blood and clot samples, helping to identify criminals and bring them to justice. Means in the crime investigation method also, if you are watching any CID program, in that also we can see how they are analyzed by using a small samples like blood or cloth or anything in any instruments. Okay, they will use this method to identify the criminals. Okay, then it is also used for drug testing alcohol or poisonous substance in the body. Okay, very good. It is also using for drug testing. If you have taken any drugs, then it is the method to identify the drug which may be present in your body. If any murder is happened, in that time also we have to investigate this type of testings. Then beverage testings means alcohol or any fluid testing, fluids liquid testing. In that purposes also we use this method. It is also used to identify and separate the preservatives and additives added in the food items. Means to preserve any pickles, or you have to give any more flavors to the food. After that, if you are getting any smell or anything, then at that time also we use this method to know what are the items which were used in this food. For that purpose also we use chromatography method. It is also used in DNA fingerprinting and bioinformatics. Okay, then the process can also be used to separate the colored pigments in plants and flowers, and also used to determine the chemical composition of many substances. They are also useful to find the colored pigments of plants and flowers also, because to separate the colors in the substances. So like this, chromatography is almost useful for the chemical field. Means in the investigation method only they are using so much. Is it? Yeah, okay. Then we are going to discuss about the two types of liquids. What are they? See, miscible and immiscible liquids. Miscible liquid. Liquids which mix together in all proportions and form a single layer are called miscible liquids. For example, if you mix a buttermilk and a water, they are mixed well together. We can't separate them. That type of mixtures are called miscible mixtures or miscible liquids. Then immiscible liquids means liquids which don't mix with each other and form separate layers are called immiscible liquids. If you mix two liquids, then they are not mixed together and they form a separate layers like oil and water. They will not mix together. If you are going stair, at that time only they will appear like they are mixed. But after few minutes they will separate their self. Okay, so let us look the pictures. See here, for miscible liquids, milk or buttermilk and water. For immiscible liquids, different types of oils with different densities. Okay, now let us watch an activity for immiscible liquids. Okay students, this is the activity for immiscible liquids. Let us watch it.
To do this activity, you will need water, mustard oil, a separating funnel, 3 beakers, a cork, a clamp stand, a measuring cylinder, and a glass rod. Take a beaker and add 50 milliliter of mustard oil in it. Next, add 50 milliliter of water. In the beaker. And stir with a glass rod. Take the separating funnel and fill the mixture of oil and water in it. Fix the separating funnel in the clamp stand and keep it undisturbed for some time so that separate layers of oil and water are formed. Now place a beaker under the separating funnel and open the stop cork so that water pours into the beaker. Place another clean beaker below the separating funnel to collect the oil. Re-put the mixture of oil and water in the separating funnel. The oil forms the upper layer in the mixture, whereas the water settles down. This is because water and oil are immiscible, that is, they do not dissolve in each other. Water is denser than oil, so it settles at the bottom, whereas the oil floats on the top. So, the two can be easily separated. In this module, you have learned to separate the mixture of two immiscible.
So, by this activity, what you have learned? You have learned to separate the mixture of two immiscible liquids which were not mixed together and they form a separate layers. That type of liquids can be separated by using a separating funnel method. Okay, students? Okay. Then, next is distillation method. This distillation method is used to separate the mixture which are miscible, means which are mixed together and form a single layer. Okay students, which are mixed together, we can't separate them, and that type of mixtures can be separated by the process of distillation. Okay, now let us look on this activity, how they are separating.
Through the process of distillation. Distillation is a separation technique.
So, distillation is a separation technique that is used to separate two soluble liquids, means which are soluble with each other with a significant difference. A little difference is there in their boiling points. Okay, that type of liquids has to be separated by distillation process. Let us look on this activity.
That is used to separate two soluble liquids with significant difference in their boiling points. Let us see an experiment to understand this process. We need a flask containing a mixture of ethyl alcohol and water. The flask is fitted with a gas delivery tube and a thermometer. We also have a spirit lamp, tripod stand, wire gauze, matchbox, beaker filled with cold water, and test tubes. Light the burner and heat the mixture in the flask. Place the test tube in the beaker filled with cold water and put the delivery tube in the test tube. Heat the flask till the mixture starts boiling. Since alcohol and water have a significant difference in the boiling point, they will boil at different temperatures. And alcohol, which will boil at a lower temperature, will first turn to vapor completely, while water will remain in the liquid state at that temperature, and hence they will get separated. Note the temperature at which the solution starts boiling. It reads 87 degrees Celsius. Alcohol vapors formed here passes through the delivery tube into the test tube, which is kept in the cold water. The vapors condense and turn to liquid alcohol in the test tube. Keep on heating the flask. After all the alcohol gets vaporized, the temperature starts to rise again towards the boiling point of water. The vaporized alcohol is collected in the test tubes in the purified form, and all other impurities remain in the flask. Distillation is used in chemical industry.
So here, ethyl alcohol, or we can use a acetone also. Okay, if you are mixing with the water, you are mixing acetone and ethyl alcohol, anything with water, then the boiling points also made little bit difference is there. So here in this process, first the alcohol has to be boiled, means it has low melting, so low boiling point. So it is turning into vapor state. At first it is turning into vapor state, and it is collecting into the test tube. Okay, after that water has the boiling point. How much water has the boiling point? 100 degrees Celsius. So after all, over the alcohol which is mixed with the water, they has to be boiled and vaporized into the test tube. After that, water starts boiling to 100 degrees Celsius. Like this, we use distillation process to separate the mixtures which have a little difference. Okay students, so distillation is used in chemical industry to separate acetone from acetic acid, and this process may also used in the salt water to separate salt from water. Okay, now see, you have to draw the distillation diagram for your examination purpose. Like this, you have to draw the diagram. See, round bottom flask and the mixture of alcohol and water, how they are separating. Like this, you have to draw the diagram, and some applications are there. So what are the applications? It is used for the separation of components of a mixture containing two miscible liquids that boil without decomposition and have sufficient difference in their boiling point. Already this is the definition for distillation. So here for two miscible liquids we use this type of distillation method. Okay. Then recycling oils. Nowadays recycling is happening for every mixtures. Okay. Purifying water. Then making liquefied gases from air, purification of alcohol, the process of removing salt from water. Now only I said to you this one. Now if you want to do copper sulfate solution, you have to separate the copper sulfate from water, then you can use this method also. Okay. So this is the distillation process used to separate the miscible liquids. Okay. Next is fractional distillation. Fractional distillation means, see, it is used if the difference in boiling point of constituents is less than 25 degrees Celsius. Means both the liquids has little bit difference is there, then at that time which type of method has to be used means fractional distillation method. If they are boiling at a little difference of point, then at that time fractional distillation method is used. Okay students. See example, ethyl alcohol and water. Okay, this method is useful for oil refining, meant to separate the crude oil from the mixtures. Already we have this one in the class 8th. How we can fractionate the oil into different forms with their boiling points. Alcohol manufacturing purposes also we use this method. Air separation method, perfume manufacturing, in the manufacturing of high purity silicon semiconductors. This method is useful. You can observe in the diagram. See here, by using the fractional distillation method, we separate different types of oils from the crude oil. See here, less than 25 degrees Celsius we use petroleum gas, we get petroleum gas, and less than 25 to 60 degrees Celsius gasoline, 60 to 80 degrees Celsius naphthalene, paraffin, diesel. Like this, at different boiling points we get different types of oils. Okay students, so in this way fractional distillation method is used. See fractional distillation diagram. How this diagram has to be mentioned in your exams also. They'll ask diagram to draw the fractional distillation diagram. They'll ask you. So you have to learn to draw the fractional distillation diagram. See fractional distillation columns. This is the fractionating column which is used to prepare by using glass beads. This fractionating column is arranged into the test tube here. You have to see the difference between distillation and fractional distillation is this one. For distillation we don't arrange fractionating column. For fractional distillation we arrange this type of column so that the liquid which first turns into the vapor state, it will be condensed in this air column, in this fractionating column, Okay, then it will be pass on to the condenser and reach the test tube, and the other one is still boils. Okay students, so by using this method we can also separate the gases from air. So next topic is separation of gases from air. So by using fractional distillating column we separate the gases from air. See, air, already we know that air is a homogeneous mixture, means it is a mixture of so many elements, compounds, or okay, dust particles, everything are there in the mixture. So it is a mixture of homogeneous. So we can separate these mixture of homogeneous means air by using distillation process, that is fractional distillation process. So this is the flow chart to you. In this way we can separate the gases. First, air is compressed and cooled by increasing pressure and decreasing temperature. Then it turns into liquid air. Then that liquid air is allowed to warm up slowly in fractional distillation column. After that, gases get separated at different heights. Then here their degrees also has mentioned. Okay, so this is the flow chart for you. This flow chart has given in your textbooks also. You can observe it. Okay. See, like this flow chart you can draw. You can draw like this also. Okay. And this is the experimental procedure how to separate the gases from air. This is the diagram you have given in your textbooks also. In this way we can separate the gases from air. Okay, now let us watch how we can separate the gases from air. How we can collecting different types of gases. Okay, let us watch.
Components in air. Air is a mixture of several gases, and these can be separated by fractional distillation. This is brought about by compressing and cooling of air and allowing it to slowly warm up in a fractionating column. Air is first passed through a filter to remove impurities like dust particles. Filtered air is passed through compressors and it is compressed to very high pressures around 200 atmospheres. Compressed air is passed through a freezing unit where it is cooled to about -200 degrees centigrade. The cooled and compressed air passes through a separator when carbon dioxide gas solidifies and is separated as dry ice. The air which is now free from carbon dioxide is forced through an expansion jet where it liquefies. This liquid air is allowed to slowly warm up in a fractionating column. Nitrogen first boils at -196 degrees centigrade and is separated. The components in air. Column. Nitrogen first boils at -196 degrees centigrade and is separated. The argon, which boils at -186 degrees centigrade, is collected. Oxygen, which has a higher boiling point, is left behind and is collected.
See here how we are getting carbon dioxide, argon, nitrogen in the different sections. And finally we are getting oxygen from the air. In this way we are collecting air. In this way we are collecting gases from air. Okay. Now this is the class for you in this session. From this we are completed the whole chapter, that is matter pure. Now I have given worksheet to you. Okay, for this class. Now complete your worksheet. Simple questions are there to you. relating to this class only. Okay, you can watch the class repeatedly and you can get the answers if you have any doubt. Okay students, see, simple questions are there, you can easily write your answers. If you got any doubt, you can watch the video again and you get the answer. Okay ma, these are the questions to you to complete your worksheet. Okay, answer these questions in your notebook. Thank you everyone.